just when I thought I was done with this build and was finishing the display, I remembered how much I love gold.
I love gold!
Welcome back to the channel. I'm Chaz. This is CK4RC. This is my gold shirt from Only RCs, and this is a gold Icebox SCX24 transmission from PunishmentRC. My buddy Anthony over at PunishmentRC sent me a message and was like, "Hey, you need a gold transmission for your Fool's Gold build?" And I was like, I mean, it's done and in the display case, but yeah, I kind of do need a gold transmission. He was like, "Got it." So here it is. Now I'm going to get this thing put together, and then I'm going to get it installed in the truck, and then I'm going to show you the display that I have set up for this thing, and it's never coming out of that display case again, ever in the history of my life. So let's get to work. Let's go ahead and get into what all comes with the PunishmentRC Icebox transmission housing. So first of all, you're going to have a skid plate, because as you'll see, the mounting pattern, the bolt pattern, if you will, is different than a stock mount. The 3 bolt pattern has 4 evenly spaced. So there is that. I'm going to take these 3 screws out and get this housing taken apart. And then I also have my stock transmission right here. I'm going to take that apart and use that for donor gears and the pass-through shaft, or whatever you want to call that thing that the drive shafts hook up to. Doing this by hand is not the most efficient way to do it, but I wasn't sure how long that screw was. But now I know that they are longer than I thought. So get down there, get some speed spinning going on. Some speed spinning is what I was talking about. Oh, that one, I went down way too soon. That was big time critical error right there. That was an ID10T error is what that was. Okay, so now the housing comes apart, and you will see that there are 4 places for bearings, and you will also see that there are 4 bearings. So it's pretty cool how that works out. So just get those things right where they need to be. Real nice and simple. Got to get that one positioned a little bit better. There we go, right where I want it to be. Okay. And now for the next part, taking apart the stock transmission and getting the gears and that pass-through shaft so I can finish building the punishment transmission. Now I will definitely note this part. I am going to use a stock transmission as donor parts, as I've already said, while I am at the same time going to hook it up to an Endura Gold Viper motor. I do not recommend doing this in a rig that you are going to actually run. I don't mind doing this because my Fool's Gold build is a display piece. So with that in mind, I don't mind one bit using plastic gears with a brushless motor. Okay, just put that stuff right back in there where it goes, and then you take this part of the cover, the housing. My phone has been getting blown up with scammers all day long, and it's driving me nuts. So just like that, I'm going to put these 3 screws back in here, and then I'm going to have, and it even says Icebox right there on the housing. So if anybody's ever curious, man, where'd you get that awesome looking gold transmission? Oh, this? You talking about this little guy? Oh, that's the PunishmentRC Icebox. And as with anything micro RC related, you do not want to over tighten anything. All that does is lead to stripped out screw holes and torqued off beheaded screws. Just nothing good comes from that. So don't over tighten. It's just bad news. There we go. That works out pretty good. Nice. We're back in action, and if you can't believe it, which you ought to be able to believe it, I put everything in here backwards. So I had to take it apart real fast and just swap the shafts around to where they were coming out the other side because of how the motor mount is. So that's it. That's all I had to do. It was a super easy thing, but now I'm just going to take my pinion gear and try to get this mounted up. If I can get it to fit on the shaft the right way. There we go. I knew I could do it. I knew I could do it. Oh wait, and again, I'm putting that on backwards as well. There we go. Now we're good. Okay, let's get the lock nut put on here. And then I will get this attached to the skid plate. And from there, we will start getting the motor mounted up. Nice. There we go. And you can see all of the gears spinning in there just like I need them to. So that's a good sign. That's all it takes. And then you got this guy right here. It screws on over here and covers up that gear real nice. It's got a nice groove for your drive shaft to be able to fit in there. And then that's all it takes. That's all there is to it. So real nice and easy. And then your motor screws, your motor mount screws, they just go right through there into the motor to hold that onto the motor mount plate. And that's it. And there is the PunishmentRC Icebox transmission for the SCX24. Looks pretty good. Now let's see how it performs. Well, I've got the Icebox mounted up to my Gold Viper motor, and it is kind of sitting in place right here, but as you can see, it's a little bit loose. Now it's not sitting in place anymore. I did run into some complications, unfortunately. So with the chassis that I'm using, it has this very specific skid plate that it came with. And what I didn't think about was that the mounting screws are spaced out differently. So unfortunately, the Icebox skid plate, and I have to use the 3D printed skid plate that came with the transmission. Unfortunately, that 3D printed skid plate will not attach to this chassis. It just won't line up. So unfortunately, that means I have to go back to the brass skid plate that came with the chassis, but the transmission won't mount to this skid plate. So the bad news is I've got to go back to the brass skid plate, which also means I have to go back to this brushless Endura transmission. So I'm really bummed that I'm not going to be able to use the PunishmentRC Icebox transmission, but I'm going to tell you guys this. It came together so easy, and just putting it in here and kind of spinning the motor, the mesh lines up so well, and this thing is just butter smooth. So I'm not going to be able to test it out with this, and I don't have a build handy to try to swap this out on something that I already have put together. So I'll have to experiment more with this and test it out, but what I'm going to do is get this thing put back together with the components that I already have, and then I'm going to show you how to make a museum-worthy RC display. That's what I'm going to do next. So stick with me. Let me get this put back together, and then I'm going to show you how to show off a top-notch build. We've got the truck back together, and it's in its case, and that looks nice. But why stop at nice when you can do better? So first thing, I've got this gold mine background that I made and printed. So I'm going to tape that to the inside of the back side here. And then I also have a mirror to stick underneath so you can see all of the bronze and brass and gold that's under there. Bronze, there's no bronze. The brass and gold pieces. And then I've got some other things to put in the display to really make it pop. So why just go with nice when you can get to dang?
Dang, that's cool.
Now, I've got to give some credit to channel member Chris Russo, who just came up with an inhuman amount of Fool's Gold, because if you're going to have a build named Fool's Gold, you might as well have some Fool's Gold in your display. Come on, look at this. With a mirror on the bottom, and then here's the coup d'etat. I don't know, one of those is like the grand finale, and one of those is when you overthrow the government. You know what, I'm going to save that part until we have everything done. So let me get this slapped in here in 3, 2, 1, boom. There we go. And then it's not really complete unless you hit it with some ground lighting. Come on. Now that is how you display a museum-worthy crawler build. Come on. Look at that mirror down there, showing off all the brass and the goods. I used some Mod Podge to glue the mirror and the Fool's Gold in place. I've got the background taped to the back of the display box. Come on, this is how you do it right here. The bummer is the Icebox transmission from PunishmentRC, as smooth as that thing felt when I had it hooked up to the Gold Viper brushless motor, it just didn't fit on the skid plate for this particular chassis, so unfortunately it doesn't fit with this build. However, I will be testing that out on some build in the future. I just have to figure out which one. But what do you think of the display? That is going to sit on one of these shelves, and it's got a really short cord, but if I can find a way to extend that and keep it plugged in, that's going to be a beautiful display piece, right? Come on with that. That's it for today. Hit that quadfecta for me before you go. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Keep doing RC stuff, and I'll see you next time. Man, that looks so good. Big time thank you to my members and channel partners, and if you would like to join the ranks, click on that join button for exclusive content, never before seen videos, early access to videos, and other exclusive content, pictures, polls, and having an active voice in what comes next on the channel. So appreciate the support. Click on that join button, and thank you so much to the channel members.